So tonight we're talking RL 2020. We're going to have a look back at the past year, just like we did in, I guess, the 2 power rankings streams that I did. But this time with actual players. For those who don't know, Decka's from Cringe Society and Siki's from Renegades. They were voted as the top 2 players in OCE, according to other players and myself. So they're having a good season so far. And we're going to just have a look back, see what their experience is. We've also got RLCS Season X, what the rest of the year looks like, some announcements that came through tonight about that as well. And then a quick talk about free-to-play, which was announced, and maybe more of the impact on the esports scene, or the impact for these guys as well, which is probably very little overall. They aren't top 2, they undeserved it. Well, Billy, you should say in chat who did deserve it if you want to make such claims. But yeah, let's have a chat about 2020 so far, especially when it goes to RLCS Season 9. Decka, you won that one. It was your first RLCS win.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that season for you and why you left after that.
Oh god. So that season, well, let's just say January wasn't a very good month. However, I was given the opportunity to join Jules at Express back, so I'm thankful for that. And I guess the start was a bit of a slow start, but eventually we worked stuff out. Just like, I don't know, we didn't like do a whole lot of work, as weird as that sounds, but yeah, eventually, I don't know, we got to regionals, and then Jules was just the best, so didn't really need to do much. So, but in terms of leaving, it was mainly a consistency factor. Like I couldn't really see us being consistently good or consistently at the top with that team rather than Kryn.
Yeah. I guess since this is not really a secret, do you want to expand a little bit on what happened during January? Which teams you tried out, where you went to, etc.?
Yeah, so Drip, Torch, and I actually were playing, we were screwing for about a month in January, and then I decided to play on the Octane, which was really smart, and then just entered the entire month, and then yeah, so it didn't really work out, and then they decided to play with Spidoge for the season, and
which didn't work out for them either.
Yeah, well, they came third, didn't they? But it was his fault. He owned gold, remember that. But yeah, so I don't know. There wasn't any hard feelings or anything with it. It was because it wasn't like I was joining a bad team or anything after that. I still had faith that we could still be really good on Ground Zero.
Yeah.
And which we ended up winning this season. So, yeah.
So Torsos and own goals really, but
yeah.
Speaking of Torsos and own goals, Siki, you guys came 5th. What happened during your season?
So basically, we fixed shit that wasn't broken, and instead of playing a normal style of fast and passy, we were doing slow and solo-y, and yeah, that kind of just cucked us because we changed that, or worked on that right before the season started. So we weren't used to that, and overall we were just a way better team playing passy and fasty. So yeah.
I'm just helping chat a little bit, but I don't know how much Amphis is trolling. So, do you want to elaborate? Why did you decide to play more slow and solo play?
I think we took advice a little bit too far. Because instead of being happy with how many goals we're getting in scrims, we wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to use what we weren't already using in our play, but that ended up sacrificing our old play and made us play a lot worse.
Yeah. So then what made you go back to, I guess after that, for those who don't know, Renegades have won every single tournament. After that, what was the kind of fix between playing like that and actually moving into a successful play style?
I don't know, we just kind of realized where we were going wrong. And before the season, we were doing really well in scrims. So we like kind of looked back on those and like wondered what we were doing differently compared to the league play games, and we just realized like we weren't doing anything or much on the field. We noticed our passing was a lot different. So I think it was like week 5 RLCS, so afterwards we changed back to old style and started playing a lot better. We didn't really do much to change back to it because we already knew how to play it, but yeah.
So Decka, what were your thoughts going into RLCS, knowing that Renegades weren't there? What was your thoughts of them not even making top 4, I should say?
I mean, they just had a slow start to the season. Like, they still had to work their stuff out. Like, I don't know, I guess with some teams it takes longer than others, but for them, unfortunately, it took a bit longer. But it's not like by the end of the season, like, if they were to make top 4, like, they definitely probably would have just won. But, I don't know, yeah, I guess it just sucks in terms of the timing, but it was fortunate for us.
So you don't think? Would you think we would have come second still if Renegades are there, or a good chance for first?
Yeah, I guess good chance for the top 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they definitely would have been a lot more threatening. That's for sure.
Well, if Renegades make top 4, who doesn't make top 4 out of the 4 that did?
What team was it?
There was Fury or Mind Freak alongside, Cringe and Ground Zero.
I mean, probably either Mind Freak or Fury.
Yeah. Not going to make a call on that one. Who doesn't make?
I would have said Fury.
Fury. All right.
That needs to be said.
Well, what about how's the rest of the year been looking for you, Decka? In terms of you've come second. You keep going second to Siki and everything.
Don't remind me.
Sorry, you got really close to winning Spring Series. Got to Game 7, and you failed after beating them earlier in the tournament. How does that failure feel in your heart?
You forgot one point thing. We're up 2 goals in Game 7.
You're up 2 goals in Game 7. You're up 2 goals multiple times throughout that series.
Oh, shit.
All I have to say to that is, oh well.
All right, Jules.
Oh well, shit happens.
No, I don't know. We're like pretty new together. I mean, we did really well in Spring Series, get that far, I guess. But
I mean, you guys beat us in the upper bracket, so
yeah, I don't know if we just played like that, in all the games against Renegades, we probably just could have won, but just threw a little bit in the final.
Siki, do you guys feel like you're able to come back from anywhere? Where does that come from? Your mental fortitude?
I don't know. We just all have a really strong mental fortitude together. It's like a crazy atmosphere we have, because now, since we've always started behind, early Spring Series 1 Freak, the first series, we were down 3-0, we made that comeback. Then Ground Zero, we had to make a comeback in one of the games. And then Cringe in the last game, we had to make a comeback. So we all just saw a bunch of happy chaps. We don't give up. We don't tilt at each other or whatnot. We back each other up, reinforce each other. But now that we pulled off all these comebacks, it's like we kind of just expect ourselves to now, and that just helps, relieve a lot of pressure if we do go down a few goals. Because we know we can start slow in tournaments. We know that now. We just take a bit of warming up to get into our style. But now that we know we can pull those comebacks quite frequently, it just relieves a shit ton of stress. So.
Well, speaking as well of mental fortitude coming back, you used to be on a team with Decka, and I heard a funny story about what you said at Dreamhack. Do you want to share that with the audience? Things are looking pretty bad, pretty dire at Dreamhack.
Yeah,
Ground Zero.
Do we need to go into specifics, or
you can say whatever you want.
I said some really unhealthy things. I was so pissed. I don't know why.
I'll summarize the story I heard with a goal goes in and Siki says on comms, "I give up."
There's an extra word in there.
Yeah, I fucking give up. And that was his Dreamhack experience. That was them bombing out a Dreamhack. Decka was there.
That was the middle of a series as well, wasn't it? Near the end.
We've all had moments where we've not been great teammates, but it's fine.
Yeah, CJ's his teammate, so is Kami now. I feel sorry for those guys, but apparently he's worked through his issues, considering how things have gone. And I'd say how would you sum up the first half of the year so far? I mean, we've had lots of prize money. I think OCE's had the mild advantage, or a big advantage, coming out from having coronavirus be a thing, in that, you know, it's brought Sonics in. I wonder whether Sonics were going to come in more no matter what, but I really felt like that was their push. Do you guys feel that it's been a really good year so far, or are you still sad about no lands?
No lands is pretty big, not gonna lie. But I'm still happy that we've had all these tournaments so far. Because it's been like 3 Sonics funded prize pools right now so far, yeah?
Yeah.
That's pretty big. That's a good compensation. But lands do mean almost everything, to be honest.
True moment.
Why is that? Why do lands mean so much to you?
Just the social experience of it all. You get to chill out with all the other players, interact with them, chill out, have laughs. Do get out of the house. Pretty big for us gamers. But yeah.
It's more than just like playing Rock League in your bedroom. Like, you get to experience heaps of stuff. And then play at like the highest level as well, which is obviously where you can get, you know, better at quicker and stuff. So
Well, that's good. Yeah, I miss lands as well myself. You know, I went to a reasonable number of them last year, but it's always such a good atmosphere. It always feels like more tension as well for you guys.
Yeah.
It's harder to perform as well when you're not at your home setup. How did you find, I guess, since we're reminiscing a little bit of the past, how did you find the LPL studio lands?
Wasn't really a LAN, just like playing in my bedroom. I don't know. This would have been the same any other regional that like wasn't a LAN.
To be honest, I really like the setup. I thought the tower was pretty cool, except for the bungee jumpers that were jumping in front of your head when you were playing the game.
Yeah,
So
I forgot.
you're about to score a goal and they jump in front of your face, but you look at them. I thought it was a cool setup. I liked how, like, the hotel was right there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was really nice too. The whole setup, the rooms, everything was pretty nice at LPL.
Just having all the OC boys there is quite good.
Cool.
Should I restart my camera? It's blurry. But that
I mean,
screw it up.
No one's here for the face. Just leave it because it might screw up everything. Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah, I was gonna say, if you just refocus it, it'll probably be fine. CJ had his heart elevated in rate apparently by the bungee jumpers. Yeah, I would have been completely distracted by them every single time as well. But yeah, let's there's one last thing I kind of want to look back. I did power rankings over the last 2 weeks. Decka was involved in the player power rankings, and I kind of wanted to get your take on how accurate you guys felt those were. So here was the team power rankings that I did. Do you guys, or we'll start with Decka, like, do you see any major discrepancies? Would you put someone way higher or someone way lower than where they are?
That's pretty accurate.
Who's gaming gamers?
That's the Fiber, Zen, and what was Leviathan at the time.
Okay.
Wait, is that
Who came top 4
I
at Grand Slam.
God, 4, 5, and 6 is like kind of hard to swap around because they've all had mixed results.
Yeah, I know. They've always been up and down.
Yeah, so I guess leaving it like that's alright. Yes, RLCS being like the most important, or what, I guess you could say that. Fury winning or coming second over the other two.
Who's Esper?
That's,
Who is that?
That's the Esper. Who came? They came sixth in RLCS. You know, like, they didn't do badly in RLCS.
Yeah.
I'd probably just completely remove that from the rankings.
Yeah.
But...
Okay. Well, then let's get into that. What are your thoughts on the whole Esper situation, Siki?
Funny.
Why is it funny?
Just because a lot of karma went around and made me feel good. But I'd probably move Overt and Skyfire down, and then, I mean, they haven't played the last 500 tournaments, so...
Yeah. Skyfire was in RLO, but they got destroyed.
They got destroyed, but they beat Ground Zero to qualify first.
They were third seed.
Doesn't count.
Didn't they come 5th?
They came 5th, 6th, but they lost both their series because they had that extra, I guess, life in the upper bracket. Such, whatever the format is, I don't know how you really describe it. But yeah, I guess Decka, 'cause since you're from the outside of that situation, what were your thoughts on the whole Esper thing?
I mean, guess you're asking to get in trouble for that. Like, that's all there is to it, really.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I think, now that like emotions have petered out and stuff, or it's like, whatever, 2 guys or 3 guys, 2 guys, however many people made mistake, they've been punished for it. They'll come back in a year and I'm not going to worry about it. They'll have certainly learned a lesson, and I hope it's a lesson for everyone else out there competing in the upcoming RLCS Season X. I was about to segue. I thought I was being really clever, but I also want to talk quickly about the player power rankings, of which Decka was part of deciding. So I'm going to ask Siki first off. What you surely are going to change something here in terms of who you'd rank where, right?
Yeah. I reckon Jules and CJ can be interchangeable. But I do feel like that is a pretty fair list. There's really not much I could do that, to be honest.
Yeah, okay, well, how would you rank you on your team? Like, your teammates? So you're saying you're definitely the best on your team, and Kami's definitely the middle, and CJ's definitely the worst on your team?
I mean, you make it sound extremely bad when you say it like that.
That's like terrible.
Like, CJ's definitely last. Like,
Yeah,
he's shit.
CJ is 100% the worst player on your team. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I feel like we all have our uses on our team.
Yeah. So he's just the least impactful, is you're saying?
You make it sound like he's the least impactful by a mile.
I'm not saying that. How did I say? So CJ
I don't know,
is
it just
so
sounds
bad.
like that because you're asking me about. It just makes you know.
So Decka, who's the strongest players on your team? You know, I know they're all really strong.
We're all equal. That's the answer. We're all equal.
Do you think Drippe should have been higher than where he is?
I mean, I'd obviously want him to, yeah, because I don't know. I think in Spring Series and RLO, like, he proved that he's still really good. So
yeah,
like if you were to swap CJ and Jules, and like why can't you swap Drippe with those 2 as well?
I think that's what I said in the YouTube video. I think those 3 are really interchangeable in my rankings. And I think on a given day, like any of these I'd say top 8 can be pretty interchangeable. From like Drippe could be the best player on a given day, and Siki could be, number 8th on a given day. He's typically pretty consistently not going to be any lower than that, but he has been pretty consistent. So that's a good look into, I guess, the past 6 months. Very quick to breeze it through. So we should have a look at what's coming up with the next season, and let's just start right out the gate with the ESL Australia announcing that the Oceanic Championship, and we'll break this down quick, pretty into small pieces, but the Oceanic Championship has been announced, $225,000 across the year, US dollars, across 3 splits, with, as you know, the majors at the end of every split, and then a World Championship at the end of the 3 splits, or after the end of the 3 majors. Don't know the exact format or timing on all this stuff, and no details have been announced here. But I guess, first off, a quick point. It's called the ESL Rocket League OC Championship, which has been repeated by everybody except Gfinity, who called it the Oceanic Masters. And it's a bit of an interesting one, because originally when it was the Throwdown OC Championship, it was kind of interesting because there was already the Rocket League OC Championship that was run by Peanut Gallery, PDG and Jim Nesso and Baal. Back in the day, they ran an RLOC, and then every other person has put their name on the front of that. It's a fine name. I just think it's funny that it keeps repeating every time. But I think a major takeaway here, or there's two major takeaways. One, the prize pool. Two, who's running it. Decka, what are your thoughts on $225,000 for OC across the year?
I mean, it's pretty good to see. Be interesting to see like what more details on it and stuff like that. But I don't know, seeing a number like that is like we haven't really seen that before in OC, and this year's like already proven to up in terms of the prize money and stuff like that. So to see how it all pans out will be interesting. But I'm liking the look of it so far.
Yeah. Well, to keep that in perspective as well, we've already had $200,000 in prize money, US dollars, so far this year. So in theory, this is actually, disregarding majors and whatnot, it might be the biggest year of OCE, even if you look into next year, where I don't know how many seasons there are left of splits. I think there's going to be 2 splits this year still. So there's 2 of these tournaments, so $150,000 this year. I don't know, but next year will be $225,000 for these types of tournaments. Whether we've already had, if you take that 150, we'd be at 350k for this year. So it might be a record-breaking year because of the stuff that happened in that first half, which is obviously a great thing for you, especially Siki, who you're doing well. You're getting the wins. How much is the prize money important to you?
Prize money is always nice, but I don't know. I get more satisfaction out of just winning for the rep rather than the money.
That's the same, actually.
Yeah, except 225k is a big step up, so obviously I do want to kind of win all of that.
Yeah, okay, so Basink has the confirmation for me that split 1 and 2 is 2020, just to confirm. And now, I guess there's some interesting things about them revealing the prize pool. I'll say $225,000 the way it was meant to be, given the old system, it would have been $150,000 with 2 world championships. So the local domestic prize money has gone up. And on top of that, if you assume, obviously we're probably not going to have any actual majors this year, maybe they'll have some extra tournaments on top of that. But we'll assume there's a majors on it. There ends up being 4 international events instead of 2, which also overall goes to the prize money, because I'm pretty sure anyone who makes it into that top 16 international event is also going to earn some prize money. So you can even expect this to be a lot higher. And along what you guys said earlier too, more lands for you guys to get to, more chances to get there, but also some more stakes maybe on the individual tournaments that are happening across each split. What are your... I don't really want to ask your thoughts yet on the format, but how much are you guys looking towards international experience and the prize pool across there? Are you guys expecting to do better than last place when you go international now?
Yeah.
I think we always hope to do better than last place at internationals.
Hoping, but expecting is very different,
True.
Yeah. It's always hard to tell. It is always hard to tell because you can feel good. Like the top 2 teams here can feel good and really tight and experienced, but it's always hard to tell when you go over there. Because you don't know how much they're improving and how much the difference is, or how big the difference is, or has been since last season. So, because last time I scrimmed an international team was 2 seasons ago, so I don't know how big the difference is now.
I think another question, especially for you, Siki, is what are your thoughts on ESL running the OCE Championship now? Since you probably got at least some experience with ESL when they did it in 2017 with the ESL AUNZ Champs, as well as PAX in 2016.
Hard to remember what it was like. I just remember the LAN was fun because it's in Sydney, so I don't have to travel far, except train.
Locker.
Yeah. But I think I wanted ESL to run a tournament because they definitely have very big experience in running tournaments and organising stuff. So you can always trust them to put on a good tournament.
Yeah, I will say I'm not going to talk too much about organisations themselves. It's pretty unprofessional. As someone who is a caster to have too many comments on it, like I used to. But I know ESL, they probably have the best infrastructure of any organisation in OCE, especially in terms of their broadcast right now. Especially given Riot kind of doing a lot of pulling out of OCE. Riot could be probably their biggest, the people that go over it, but obviously Sonics aren't going to go to a rival publisher / developer or whatever you call it to do this. So ESL definitely have the resources, and it's going to be interesting to see how much they push into this, but I do expect a very clean looking product from a broadcast perspective. And I know, they're very experienced at organising CSGO tournaments in terms of administration, so I fully expect that's probably going to be pretty clean. I guess how important is that to you, Decka, that, that there's a good broadcast quality and good tournament admins and a, I guess, cleanly run event?
I mean, for sure, it helps the players and helps the viewers as well. In terms of the tournament being run properly and that, it makes it easy for the players. Don't have to stress about anything going wrong or whatever. Not to say that anyone in the past, I mean, for me personally, has ever done anything bad. I feel like it's all been pretty decent, but to have that trust or whatever and a big company to run that, it's good. And then hopefully the casting will be top notch and everyone watching can get fully entertained.
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to, I guess, anyone, I mean, I think a major problem, and this is a criticism of Sonics, and they'll yell at me later maybe. They'll see it at some point and be like, Yummy, why are you saying this stuff? Is that, and it's not necessarily their fault, but they've gone with a different provider every 10 seconds. Throwdown was 2 years, and that was a solid 2 years where, I guess, the product or, OC Rocket League or what was presented, the OC Championship, got better every season. And then it feels like it keeps resetting. It went to Gfinity, and Gfinity were a great company as well, but they have to go back to the basics, and you have to teach them, or the players have to teach them, oh, this is Rocket League, this is how the best way to admin, this is the mistakes you're making, can we clean this up? And obviously you're going to get a lot better over a season. And you get to a point, halfway through the first season where it feels really great. And then it resets again the next season to LPL, and it has done the same. I feel like, personally, we could have got a lot more. I'm assuming you're the same, Siki, that we get a lot more support now, that it feels like it's changing, that we get more support from Sonics. I'd really like to see it on, realistically, the Rocket League channel. We saw how successful that was the Spring Series. But I guess what other support would you like to see coming through from Sonics around, I guess, an Oceanic League?
Don't really know what they can do further than what they do right now, to be honest, because except for the main channel, that's the biggest. And then obviously advertising it on their Twitter account as well. I don't really know what much else they can do to support us.
Well, I'm hoping for in-game items for watching. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But what I can almost completely guarantee is that we will be on the Live Now button in the game. Sonics have been trialing it with community tournaments. In fact, my channel, at some point, I think, at least CJ's channel was definitely part of the Live Now button in terms of rotation, because we were in a squad stream in-game. And if we can have that on personal channels for community events, then they're going to put it in a professional production like ESL, where you can guarantee a certain quality. So that is a huge win for OCE, for SAM, for all regions to come. No Kappa for Asia. Unfortunately, they're not here yet, but they'll be in the future, and they'll have front page from the get-go, hopefully. And it does make a big difference. I think it made a significant difference, or somewhat of a difference, for RLO Grand Slam. for the entire format of the event, I haven't. We kind of jumped the gun in terms of going towards OCE first, but I mean the announcement didn't include OCE whatsoever, and we still don't know the format of the entire season so far for RLCS Season X. But you know, this is the general format. Your 3 splits through a season, 3 seasons in a split. I don't know what you call it. We'll see. What are these? 3 regional events per split, 3 splits per season. I think it's just 1 season a year. And the second season ends in January, technically, so it goes over the end of this year. EU and NA are staggered, and I'm actually wondering, are OC going to be put after NA? That seems to be the best way to do it. We haven't got a schedule yet so far as OCE, but for a broadcast perspective, NA finishes at a time that's around like midday-ish, so maybe we actually go after those NA days if you want a little bit of a... This is the sensible thing to do. I don't know if this is what is being done, but I'm guessing that those NA days would probably be the days that you want to look at for potential tournament days at OCE. Now this is the format. You got 3 regional events. They're much smaller events overall. This is just what's written on the page about the event. That we don't have any information. This is NA and EU. You know, it's a 32-team Swiss into a 16-team Swiss, into another 16-team Swiss, into a top 8. Now, that means that we're going to have, I guess, 4 days of event, a smaller tournament. It's not a full league. It's not a full 9 weeks of tournaments. It is 3 smaller tournaments, still with major prize pools to them, I guess $25,000 each, and points to get into your major or your regional final or whatever it is. But what are your guys' thoughts on instead of having a big league, instead of having regular play against all the other teams every week and one major season, what are your thoughts instead of having it split into these 3 smaller tournaments where you have to do really well each time?
I guess you're going to miss out on the opportunity of versing every team. That make top 8. That single elimination playoff for top 8 is scary.
It very, yep.
Yeah, except it's a breath of new, fresh air because league play 1 game a week was not fun. It was shite.
Why?
Because you wake up early just to play 1 game, to like, you know, be nervous about, stressed about, just to play 1 game, not 2. And it just took unnecessarily longer, I guess. So at least this seems like it has a lot more action going on.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind this is NA and EU formats.
Yeah.
You don't know about the OCE. It's guaranteed to be different because there's not, 64 teams, I think. I don't know how many it is in the first round. There's not going to be that many teams. It is going to be a different format. But you can kind of get the gist of it. Now, Swiss seems to be really focused on here. What are your thoughts, Decka, on the Swiss format? Do you know what the Swiss format is?
I've actually not heard that term before.
Okay, so I guess this is like a nice little moment for everyone because I'm sure there's some people in chat haven't heard the Swiss system. So the Swiss system is kind of like, if you wanted to actually describe it to people who know Rocket League really well in what it emulates, it's kind of like a cut-off round robin, or a structured round robin. You play a certain number of rounds. If you win your first round, you'll play against someone else who wins their first round. And if you win that round, you win your second round, you'd play against another team who was on a 2-0 record. So you get pitted up against people on very similar records. You'll play 5 series. There'll be no knockouts. And the end of those 5 series, you'll get a full ranking from first to last based on your overall performance. Because you'll have played against similar people. Now, obviously, that's one type of Swiss. There's also elimination Swiss, which is what RLCS are using for NA and EU for round 1. They're doing a 32-team Swiss. 3 wins, you advance. 3 losses, you're knocked out. That's another way to do it. So you don't necessarily play a full 5 series. because it's just about progressing to the next round. But that's not my experience of Swiss. I've played a lot of Swiss in non-electronic games. In
Real life
things,
sport?
what's that?
Real life sport?
In things like chess, board game competitions, that sort of stuff. They use Swiss a lot, sometimes sports. It's a way of getting a lot of teams and get them ranked without playing, a 32 team round robin would take you years to play. You can play 5 rounds in a day and play out a full tournament. And it makes it something different. I do like elimination Swiss. It's very common in CSGO, which is why I kind of figured you might have seen it before. In CSGO, in the majors, they do a 16-team Swiss elimination. So you win 3, you're through to the next round. You lose 3, you're out. So that might mean you play 5 series, and the last win or loss is what eliminates you or moves you on. It's an interesting format, but it might mean that you play a lot of series, or play 5 series or 3 series or whatever it is. But 5 series maybe in a single day. Do you think that might be too much, too little? Like, what are you looking for there, Decka?
I reckon that could be too much, but I don't know. That's gonna take a lot of endurance and stuff, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to see. Like, it's something different, And I don't think there's anything wrong with like doing stuff differently. Definitely will be interesting to the players to see, like who we come up against and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think the nice thing overall is that they've already set themselves up to change, because as you can see at the very top of this piece of article, each split's going to have its own format, and they haven't announced the second format. So I think that RLCS Psionics are putting themselves in a position where they know that there's going to be certain things that players like or don't like, or maybe they want to change it to how they cater to the top teams or lower teams. I don't know what it is that they want to change, but they have left plenty of room for themselves to improve the format on a split-by-split basis, see how it goes, and they've left it wide open. In fact, they are 100% changing it split on split. So it will be interesting to see how they stick with that, how Swiss goes. Overall, I'd like to see a 32-team Swiss and what that looks like in OCE with, not quite 32 teams realistically at the top level, being able to compete. There's going to be more than, I'm going to assume there'll be 64 teams or somewhere in that range, maybe more, as ESL are a big name and are able to bring a big draw of players. But yeah, overall, don't know what OC is going to be, but that is the EU and NA format to go on. I guess one other thing I wanted to ask you guys, Siki, is what were your thoughts on Asia and Middle East not being announced for this season?
I didn't really expect them to be announced because I don't think they have. I think they definitely have a lot less depth than OC and SAM, and I don't know how many teams Middle East have except for Sandrock.
Yeah, Sandrock's the name.
Sandrock. That's like the only team I know from that region. So,
do you think that's the most important factor, the depth of talent in a region? What do you?
Yeah, I definitely think it should be considered when involving a region. Yeah, I don't know how much Asia has. I don't know much about that region. Same with Middle East. But yeah, I didn't really expect them to be involved or announced with this RLCS.
Are you the same, Decka?
I mean, yeah, depth is definitely important. Not to say like we have a lot of depth, but I feel like it's enough. It's enough to like be involved, So I guess I wasn't really expecting it. I mean, it would have been cool and stuff and that, but I don't think, it was an expectation for sure.
It's certainly interesting to see. I would have liked to obviously see them as well. Would you have found it unfair if say Asia took a spot and it kind of like cost maybe OCE an extra spot? Or do you think that it would be unfair if Middle East and Asia each got 2 spots and that meant less spots for NAEU or whoever else that ended up getting it? Or do you think that they should only be getting 1 spot each if they were to come in? I guess how hard done by would you feel about Asia taking international spots?
I mean, like, it'd be good to give them an opportunity and stuff, but it's also like the other regions have been working hard and stuff like that, and like, you know, they've kind of deserved their spots. So if they were to get that taken away, I don't think they would be too happy. I feel like the only way would be to add on to it, not to take anything out.
Yeah, it just sounds like no one would be happy if there was replacements going on.
Yeah.
Because they do deserve opportunities, obviously, to be able to perform or to show off their region or whatnot. But it's always going to be tricky removing them or getting them to replace a spot from another region. Because
that actually kind of brings into the point of the fact that NA and EU each get 2 more spots as far as I recall. Or there's 4 more spots overall. I don't think they go to a specific region as such. It's because it's based off circuit points. So if OCE did do really well, they would get more spots. But the assumption is that's not going to happen. Right now.
Enough OCE for now.
Yeah, so I would have thought this would be the best time to get them in because of that guaranteed spot system, where I think OCE is still guaranteed 2 spots at Worlds. Definitely at majors, you know, where there's no like previously intermingled results. You know, you can't be like, well, OCE, you didn't perform well enough in your own region to get enough spots in a major. But I think at Worlds is going to be guaranteed spots. Don't quote me on this. This is something that I'm remembering that I can't like back up with proof, or I can't remember if I remembered it correctly. But I would have thought this would have been a good time for it. So I kind of wonder when it's just going to happen. We don't really know. What we do know is that Rocket League's going free to play. And I guess before I say anything, what are your thoughts, Decka, on I guess what this means to you? Does it mean anything from a competitor's perspective?
I mean, if I was to think about it deeply, I guess like can just get more people to play the game, and I guess more people playing the game can, you know, prove like the competitive scene and stuff like that in terms of viewership. And then with more viewership, obviously, you know, good things come, like more money and stuff like that. People are going to like buying game items and that. But I don't know, yeah. It's kind of just, I've already got the game and I'm playing it, so that's the main thing.
New players definitely want to increase the competitive of the top of the scene.
Yeah.
Because, you know, players have to get good first.
Yeah.
And make it to the top to be able to even make a change or dent.
I think just in terms of viewership, it would be alright.
Yeah, just viewership, it'd be a lot better.
Would you have like a timeline on how long it would take a brand new, freshy, free-to-play player to be able to compete at the top of OCE? You know, at the top
3 years, 2.5 years.
Could even be more than that.
Yeah.
If the players at the top continue playing, like we all have how many years of experience now, and they're starting completely fresh, and then we're still going to be playing the game. Yeah.
Hey, but Scarf came top 2, and like if you just play for like 1,000 hours, you could probably beat him.
So in the player power rankings that we talked about earlier, Decka, where did you put Scarf on that top 15?
He wasn't on the list.
Oh.
I don't think.
Yeah. What about? Well, there's some good names in chat. I'm just gonna ring out some names: Leduc, Zaid, Sprat.
Okay, they're all not in the top 15.
Cobbo.
Definitely not in the top 15.
Oh. Riv.
×2.
Leviathan.
Yeah, he's in there.
Oh, Leviathan's in your top 15. There we go. Fiber.
Yeah.
He's in.
He's gonna get good.
There you go, man. Bias.
When he grows the fuck up, so.
Whoa.
True.
It's alright. Decker's growing his big mustache, so he's ready
I'm getting rid of it.
take on the world.
But I don't know. It's players like Ladok and Scarf. They're just never gonna get inside the top 15. Period.
Never.
Never.
What about when Ladok went to Worlds?
Fluke.
Just a complete fluke. It wasn't his teammates. It was just complete luck
Yeah.
that he managed to get there. What do you think of Ladok's new team?
I guess Spidos did play pretty good regionals, and Warcry did a bit.
Yeah.
And Scarf, making top 2, like, obviously it was Anthus, like, he just solely carried the entire season. And Kenny was just there.
Do you agree, Siki?
Yeah, in our series versus Fury, I thought Kenny played the best because he just saved everything.
He's pretty good in net, give him that.
Yeah, no, I definitely rate Kenny Salmon as a player. What do I agree with, Yummy?
Oh, just everything that Decka was saying.
What about making top 15?
Just everything. He said a lot of things.
Yeah, I'm just top 15 right now is pretty locked in.
Who's sitting? I'm not gonna bother asking. We're back to free to play, guys. Yeah, I'd say from my perspective on free to play, even though that was a very interesting conversation, I think there's, I guess, a really big potential impact for OCE. It's not just, it's the fact that, like, when you're running an event and you're showing this game off, if you tell people, hey, look at this awesome game that's really easy to get into, you don't need to know much about the game to really follow, they can watch it and then be like, okay, cool. Oh, I don't want to pay $20, or, sometimes I don't own a PC that can run it, or I don't own a PlayStation that can run it. But often it's, I don't want to pay $20, Usually it's that $5 mark. Anything above $5, people like actually make a decision on whether to purchase. If it's free, then you're going to have people like, oh, that looks fun, and it's free, I'm going to go play it. And they might become people that become addicted for life and end up being as good as Scarth. And then you might have those people who are on the opposite end, which is also something that is really good for esports, is that you have people who are like, this is coming out, it's free to play, I'm going to give it a try. And then they're playing the game, they're having a ball, and they see the esports live now button, they just press it, and they're like, wow, I didn't know how good people could be at this game, and they become lifelong esports watchers at the same time. So it's a system that feeds into each other. It's a system that closes every barricade towards, I guess, an ecosystem, because the entire point of esports is that it's a marketing tool for the game. So the better the marketing tool can be for the game, then, the more it's going to be pushed, the more esports is going to be pushed as such. And we're already seeing that with $4.5 million of prizes